You put on roller skates for a job interview. That was the first sign this was not a normal job. The manager watched you skate a full lap around the parking lot before he even asked your name. If you could not balance a tray of root beer mugs while rolling backward past a row of parked Chevys, you did not get hired. It did not matter how polite you were or how good your application looked. Skating came first. This is what it was actually like clocking in at an A&W drive-in in 1965. A&W started in 1919 as a single root beer stand in California, built around a recipe bought from a retired pharmacist. By the 1960s, it had grown into one of the biggest drive-in chains in the country. That drive-in model is exactly what put a teenager in skates at your car window with a tray balanced on one arm. Most Carhops were teenagers, 16 or 17, still in high school. Some were college kids working summers. The pay was around 65 cents an hour, right around minimum wage at the time, and nobody was living off that number alone. The real money was in tips, and tips depended entirely on how good you were on skates and how well you remembered regulars. The uniform came out of a box on your first shift. A short skirt or a pair of matching shorts, a fitted top, sometimes a little cap or a bow, all in the orange and brown A&W colours. You bought your own skates or the drive-in kept a beat-up communal pair in the back, and either way you were expected to learn on the job because there was no separate training day for skating. You learned by falling. A shift started before the lot even opened, wiping down trays, restocking mugs in the walk-in cooler so they would be frosted and ready, checking that the speaker boxes at every stall worked. Then the cars started pulling in and the whole thing became a blur that did not stop until closing. You took the order at the driver's window, wrote it on a pad, clipped it to a line, or ran it back to the kitchen window yourself depending on how the location was set up. Then you skated it back out, balanced on a tray that hooked onto the car door, and you did this for 6, 7, 8 hours depending on the shift. Friday and Saturday nights were the busiest by far. That was when the lot filled up, when every stall had a car, and every car had a group of friends who were not there just to eat. They were there to be seen. Carhops worked those nights harder than any other, skating non-stop between 40 or 50 cars with barely a break between deliveries. On a good weekend night, a Carhop could clear $10 or $12 in tips on top of the hourly wage, which by the standards of a 1965 teenager was real money. Movie tickets were around $1. A tank of gas for a car was under $3. Tip money from one Good Friday shift could cover a week of a teenager's spending without touching an allowance. There was no health insurance, no benefits package, nothing close to what a full-time adult job offered. This was not that kind of employment. It was a part-time gig built around school schedules, and everyone involved understood it that way. What you got instead of benefits was cash in your pocket at the end of every shift, and a set of skills that included memorizing dozens of regular customers' orders before they even rolled down the window. Skating on asphalt in the summer heat for 8 hours wore on your legs and feet in a way people underestimate. Trays got heavy, mugs were glass and heavy on their own, and one bad step meant a tray of root beer and burgers hitting the pavement in front of a full car of customers watching you. Winter shifts in colder states meant standing outside in freezing temperatures with a tray of frosted mugs that were already cold enough to sting your hands. There was no indoor seating to retreat to between orders at most locations. You were out on the lot the entire shift, in whatever weather the night gave you. And then there was the mug problem. Those heavy glass mugs were expensive to replace, and customers walked off with them constantly, tucked under jackets or into car seats. Carhops were sometimes held responsible for missing inventory at closing, which meant keeping track of every mug that left with a car became part of the unofficial job description. What Carhops remember most, decades later, is not the pay or the skating. It is the regulars. The same families pulling into the same stall every Friday. The same teenage boy who ordered a root beer float and never said more than 3 words, but showed up every single week. You learned people's routines without ever really knowing them, and there was something in that repetition that felt like belonging to a place, not just working a shift. Carhops also worked in packs. The lot only functioned if everyone communicated, called out which stall needed a refill, covered for each other during a rush. It bred a kind of fast, loose teamwork that most first jobs at that age never gave you. By the late 1960s and into the 1970s, drive-through windows started replacing drive-in stalls across the industry. A drive-through needed no skates, no trays, no car hops standing outside in the weather. It needed one person at a window and a car that never had to park. It was cheaper, faster, and required none of the training or physical risk that came with the old model. Car hop jobs did not disappear all at once. They faded location by location as owners converted their lots, and by the time most people were teenagers in the 1980s, the idea of skating a tray of root beer out to a parked car was already something their parents talked about, rather than something they could go do themselves. For the kids who did it though, it was rarely just a summer job. It was skates, trays, regulars, and a parking lot that felt like the centre of the town on a Friday night, for as long as it lasted.